I filed the petition at 1400 local time, the same way I had filed every formal instrument in the 31 years I held the governorship of Orvith 12. The Emergency Jurisdiction Petition, Form 9 of the Compact Administrative Code, Section 4, Subsection 11, was a standard protective standing request. I was filing it because the Celani Sector Enforcement Authority had sent me, 3 hours earlier, a 24-hour compliance notice demanding I surrender regulatory control of the Orvith 12 orbital corridor to their newly established Sector 12 Jurisdictional Bureau. I had no intention of complying. The corridor had been under compact governance for 93 years, and the petition was my right under Article 18. I dictated the document to my administrative clerk, Vesson Oreth Pale, and told him to route it Priority 2 to Compact Command Relay Orvith Null, using the Standing Sector Routing Code. Vesson was 24 years old. He had been my clerk for 8 months. He had excellent instincts, a clean filing hand, and a habit of working quickly under pressure. Too quickly. He hand-keyed the routing code. I did not check it. 3 hours passed. The Celani Enforcement Flotilla, 4 patrol boats, a customs cutter, and what appeared to be a light picket ship, settled into a holding pattern above the orbital corridor. I watched them from my office window, the afternoon sunlight white and flat on their hulls, and waited for Compact Command to acknowledge my petition. Compact Command did not acknowledge. I poured myself a second glass of water and stood at the window. The landing field below my office was empty except for 3 civilian transports on scheduled holds. Beyond the field, the low hills of the Orvith Basin caught the late sun. It was a quiet afternoon on a colony that had been quiet for 93 years, and 6 foreign patrol boats were sitting in my corridor as though they owned it. At 1700, my comms officer reported a channel open on a frequency that was not in our administrative registry. She read me the header, Terran Corridor Patrol Vessel Ashcroft's Rule, responding to Priority 2 Jurisdiction Petition received on Joint Sector Jurisdiction Accord Band Orvith 7, Article 3, Section 9, requesting landing clearance. I said nothing for a moment. Governor, my comms officer said, they are citing a 68-year-old Accord. I told her to repeat the header. She did. I told her to grant landing clearance. The corvette came down on the eastern pad at 1714, sun full on its hull. It was small, perhaps 60 meters on the primary axis, blunt-nosed, lightly scarred along the port side where something had once grazed the plating and nobody had seen fit to repaint it. The hull lettering read ASHCROFT's Rule, and beneath it a Terran Patrol Registry number I had never seen in any compact filing. The captain came up the stairs to my office alone. She was a compact woman in her middle years, short hair, no sidearm visible, carrying a document case under her arm. She introduced herself as Lieutenant Commander Taya Ashcroft, Terran Corridor Patrol, and said she was responding to a Priority 2 Emergency Jurisdiction Petition filed on Band Orvith 7 under the Joint Sector Jurisdiction Accord of 2491. I told her I had not filed a petition on Band Orvith 7. She opened the document case and set a clean printout on my desk. It was my petition, the exact text I had dictated to Vesson 3 hours earlier. Form 9, Section 4, Subsection 11. My name, my seal, my station identifier. The routing code at the top was wrong by 2 digits. I sat down. Governor, Lieutenant Commander Ashcroft said, the petition came in on our Accord Watch frequency at 1409 local. We verified the format, confirmed it was a valid Form 9, and diverted from our scheduled fuel audit in Corridor 9. We were 3 hours out. I apologize for the delay. You are apologizing, I said. We deferred a fuel audit. There will be paperwork. I looked at the printout again. Vesson's keying was neat, each character clearly legible. Digits 5 and 6 of the routing code were transposed. Instead of routing to compact command relay Orvith null, our own chain of command, our own filing bureau, our own people. The petition had gone to a frequency that Earth's corridor patrol had been monitoring for 68 years under an accord my administration had never been briefed on. I called Vesson in. He saw the printout. He saw the transposed digits. His hands went still at his sides and the color shifted in his face, but he said nothing. I did not reprimand him. There was nothing to reprimand yet. The petition had been answered. That was the problem. "How long," I said to Lieutenant Commander Ashcroft, "has Earth been monitoring that frequency?" "Since the accord was signed, 68 years. "And in those 68 years, how many jurisdiction petitions have you received on it from non-Terran filing parties?" "Yours is the first." I looked at the corridor display on the wall behind my desk. The Celani flotilla's 6 vessels were still in their holding pattern, but their emissions had changed since the corvette landed. They had gone quiet, passive sensors only, drives at idle. "Lieutenant Commander," I said, "I did not address this petition to Earth." "I understand, Governor." "It was filed to compact command. My clerk transposed 2 digits in the routing code." "Yes. And you came anyway." She reached into the document case and produced a second printout. It was a formal jurisdiction acknowledgement document, Terran Patrol Form A-Talfa, Joint Sector Jurisdiction Accord, Article 3, Section 9. It stated, in precise administrative language, that a Priority 2 jurisdiction petition had been received on the Accord Watch frequency, that the filing party's standing had been verified against compact public registry records, and that the responding Terran patrol vessel would maintain position in the filing party's jurisdiction until the disputed matter was resolved or the petition was formally withdrawn. "This is a standard response under the accord," she said. "I am required to file it with you and with the party that issued the compliance notice. You intend to file a Terran jurisdiction acknowledgement document with the Celani Sector Enforcement Authority. It has already been transmitted." I stared at the form. It was dated, stamped, and signed by Ashcroft's own hand. It carried the weight of a 68-year-old accord that had apparently been operating without interruption for the entire span of Orvith 12's existence as a governed colony. "You are one corvette," I said. "Yes. There are 6 Celani vessels in my corridor." I noticed that. "And your response to a jurisdiction petition from a species that did not petition you is to land 1 corvette and file paperwork." She considered this for a moment. "The accord requires acknowledgement, presence, and documentation. It does not specify force composition." She paused. "The documentation is the point, Governor." At 1741, the Celani Enforcement Flotilla's lead vessel opened a channel. They requested confirmation that a Terran patrol vessel was holding formal position in the Orvith 12 jurisdiction under a filed instrument. My comms officer confirmed. She did not need to say anything else. At 1753, the Celani Enforcement Flotilla broke its holding pattern and withdrew to the corridor boundary. At 1800, Compact Command finally acknowledged my petition. They had received nothing. The petition Vesson filed had never reached them. They asked me to refile using the corrected routing code. I told them the matter had been resolved. That evening, after Ashcroft returned to her corvette for the night, I sat in my office and read the 68-year-old accord on the public record channel she had directed me to. It was 17 pages. It had been signed by a Terran corridor administrator named Caro, and a compact trade liaison whose office had been dissolved 41 years ago. The accord established that any valid emergency jurisdiction petition received on the designated Accord Watch frequency would be treated as a standing request for patrol presence, regardless of the filing party's origin, with no requirement that the filing party be Terran, compact affiliated, or even aware of the accord's existence. I had been governor for 31 years. I had filed formal jurisdiction petitions to Compact Command 4 times in those years. Not one had been answered in under 72 hours. The fastest had taken 9 days. One of them, the second, during a trade route dispute with the Orvith 14 administration, had taken 11 months and been resolved by the time the acknowledgement arrived. Vessen's transposition error had put my petition on a frequency that a single Terran corvette treated as a live, binding obligation. 3 hours and 14 minutes door to door, with an apology for the delay. I did not correct the routing code in our administrative system. I left it exactly as Vessen had filed it, digits 5 and 6, transposed. When Ashcroft departed the next morning, I walked her to the ramp. I asked her one question. What happens if I file again on the same frequency? You will receive a response under Article 3. She paused on the ramp, her document case under her arm, the morning light on the landing field behind her. The accord does not expire, Governor. I filed my incident report that afternoon. In the notes field, the one no administrator in the compact has read in the entire time I have held this office. I wrote a single line. The petition was never addressed to Earth. The routing code was wrong by 2 digits, and Earth answered it in 3 hours and 14 minutes. Compact Command has not answered it yet. I left the routing code the way Vessen typed it. Someone above me may eventually notice. Until then, the frequency is live, the accord is in effect, and the digits are exactly where they are.